Welcome back to the Football Casual. Another debate reaction. World Cup season is here, so we're here to watch Zach Jalab. 48 World Cup fans predict the World Cup. Let's see these hot takes. I jump straight into the best young player debate because I think this should be interesting. Because I think it's going to be between a couple players, but there's one to stand out. But let's just get straight into it. Like, subscribe, all that good algorithm stuff. World Cup starting tomorrow as of recording this, so I'm very excited. Let's get straight to it.
I think that the best young player at the 2026 World Cup is going to be Desire Doue, aka Le Desboy.
Careful. Well done. I'm going to bring you.
The fact that many people rushed up tells me that no one is backing this. And I understand why he's saying it. I mean, obviously, French, he's supporting France, or sounds American, but he's supporting France, it looks like. But Doue over Yamal, who's the front runner, of course. I personally, my dark horse shout for that award is João Neves. Personally, Doue, this is interesting though. I want to see this because Doue can be in and out of the squad depending on the game or the game state because they have so many attacking options. So I'd be curious to hear the argument.
Up next. I'm going to bring you up next. Oh my God! I tell you what, if anybody needed some runners, we've got them here. Who do you think it's going to be then?
The fact that you said Desire Doue whilst Yamal exists is the craziest statement I've ever heard. Doue is nowhere near Yamal's level, to the point where he doesn't always necessarily start for PSG, meaning he's not even the best top two out of Kvara, him and Barcola. So how can he be ready and be better than Lamine Yamal?
Okay, I'll go back and to rebut your.
I mean, that's a fair argument. I mean, when it comes down to it, if we're being honest, I think the way he phrased it was a little off toward the end because he said he's not top two out of the three of them. He is top two. It's Kvara, Doue, Barcola. That's the order. So out of them, he is top two. But his point is fair that they all three get rotated. But I would say on the other hand, when it comes down to it in the most important games, they're starting Kvara and Doue, not Barcola. But I hear his point.
Go back and look at the Champions League last year. I'm not going and saying that, Doue's better than Yamal, but last year, even though you go and say overall, during the course of the entire season, Yamal had a better season, but in the Champions League, I think Desire Doue was better than Lamine Yamal in the Champions League specifically.
In the Champions League specifically,
Do you agree or disagree?
where his team won the whole thing, meaning that his team is the best team, versus Barcelona, who have been broken for years and they're just getting into their stride, where Lamine Yamal is younger than Doue and he's carrying a broken team, and they only lost to the team that was in the final. And that team, by the way, this is how you know Barcelona's that bad. That team ended up losing 5-0. So they couldn't even beat Inter Milan. That's how bad Barcelona was. And Yamal was carrying them.
But Doue did.
I mean, that does show how good PSG are, but to be fair, I wouldn't say Doue. It's tough because Doue is not the best player on PSG. So it's hard to compare their individual. Like, I would say Yamal, even in a team that didn't make the final, showed, especially against Inter. I mean, I know we're only coming down to one matchup, but especially against Inter, ridiculous. I mean, that might be the best individual performance across two legs in that last campaign. So it's tough to say because, like you said, Doue is just in a better team.
Doue was a big
But Doue was good.
reason why they won 5-0.
Exactly.
Doue was definitely a big part of how they won 5-0, but I'm saying to you, that team is way better than Barcelona.
Okay.
Again, they come short.
I know he is young. Is there an element to say that he's kind of already the face of, Barcelona? He's the face of being one of the best players in the world.
I'm with you, which is why I'm sitting here. Doue is not that face.
Again, but you can be a very good player, be the best player in the world, and not necessarily have a better tournament, right? So I'd still go and say, despite everything you said, I think that Desire Doue's Champions League campaign was better than Yamal's.
Okay.
And again, I feel like, again, this is not necessarily with Spain alone, but with regards to Lamine Yamal, I think that Lamine Yamal has the potential to be one of the greatest players to ever kick a football. But I feel like, especially when it comes time to compare Lamine Yamal to other players, I feel like there's almost this, bringing down of his team, right? You go and you look at this
but
season.
his team is
no,
worse.
But hold on. But you go and you look at this season, for example. Many people at points this season, for example, when Barcelona slapped up Newcastle 7-2.
Newcastle's not specifically a great team either.
Let me finish my point. People were saying that Barcelona has the best attack in the world. They have the best left winger in the world, Rafinha, the best 10 in the world, Fermin Lopez, the best midfielder in the world.
I've never heard anyone say Fermin Lopez is the best.
I'm not going to lie. I have.
Whoever says that, we need to bring him here and speak to him.
The point I'm making with Lamine Yamal is that Lamine Yamal, even for Barcelona, yes, I'm not saying I think PSG is a better team than Barca, but Lamine Yamal plays for still one of the best teams in the world. And to go and make it seem as though he's single-handedly carrying them is separate. But again, let's come back.
That's a fair argument too, and maybe even I just did that. But I mean, PSG's team is just better, which is just a fact. And even if you want to go down PSG's team, Doue isn't even. Now what I'm saying is going to sound harsh, but like you want to talk about Kvara, Dembele, Vitinha, I would say João Neves is better in his position than Doue is in his position. Nuno Mendes is the best in his position in the world. Hakimi best in his position in the world. Pacho is probably top 3 in his position in the world. Now keeper Safonov or Marquinhos, I'm not really the biggest fan. But if you want to look back last year, which is what they're talking about, Donnarumma was one of the best in his position in the world too. So even if you want to look at that 11, Doue is like 8th, 9th most important in that 11. Okay, I forgot about Fabian Ruiz. I'll probably put Doue ahead of Fabian Ruiz, maybe. But even then, maybe 8th or 9th in the pecking order. Yamal is 1, which shows the level of his team. And maybe it doesn't because he's the best player in the world, but at least you want to talk about Rafinha, I think that's fair. I think we can't just say Barcelona is absolutely terrible when they have Rafinha, who was putting up generational numbers last year. Lewandowski, in and out injuries, but he scored a lot of goals still. Pedri, we want to say the best midfielder in the world. We have to give him that credit. The defense is where it kind of loses me. I mean, Koundé, he's good, but I don't know. I'm not in love with Koundé. Who wasn't even playing at left back last year? They had injuries with Balde and they had Gerard Martin and all this kind of stuff. And Nico Martinez was there. He was a good player, but it's just not the same level. And they didn't have Joan Garcia last year either, so it's interesting.
I feel
Doue is not even top 2 out of his own teammates in his position. How can you compare that to Lamine Yamal? Lamine Yamal is and out better than him.
The claim
I don't even know why we're discussing this.
The claim here, I didn't make the claim that Desire Doue is better than Lamine Yamal. My claim was that Desire Doue will be the best young player at the World Cup.
Yamal old?
No, so basically, I'll go player
so what's Yamal old?
So basically, I'll go and say this. Maybe rephrase it for this.
You kind of got him with that, but I mean, it's funny, but I understand this point. There's a distinction between who's the better player and who has the better tournament. Especially depends on who you have winning the tournament. A lot of those awards end up coming down to who gets really far and things like that. Like me personally, like I said at the top, I think João Neves is going to be up for that award. I personally think he's an amazing player, and if Portugal go far, I could see him winning that award. Now, if Spain win it, Yamal's probably winning the award. If France win it, maybe it's going to be Doue, but it depends on who's there. I mean, Spain get to the semifinal and Yamal balls out, but they still lose. He might still win it. If Portugal get to the final and against France, whoever wins that player might win it. Then or still might go to Yamal. So those kind of things are so dependent on how far the team get. But I guess you could also say you should win it because you got your team that far. So fair enough.
I think Desire Doue will have a better World Cup campaign than Lamine Yamal, if that's better.
Okay, I'm going to leave it on this, and then from there, you guys get ready to run.
Ryan, I'll bring you forward, just because I've seen you come forward a few times. You can come up for this one. But
Doue is not even the most important team in France. So the fact that Yamal is, meaning he's going to get a lot more touches on the ball, a lot more exposure. Just for that, you can already tell he's going to have a better tournament.
I disagree.
Well done, Lily. Well done, brother. Ryan, come forward with this one. Go ahead. You've made a few attempts. I feel like I've got to give you your chance. Go crazy, mate.
That's right. Oh, pleasure. So, you being a PSG fan, who would you say is the best player in the world right now?
The best player in the world, I would personally go and say, Harry Kane. Harry Kane, I think, has been the best player in the world.
Interesting. I mean, you could make that argument. I didn't expect him to say that as a PSG fan. I thought he was still going to say Lamine Yamal. Or if he didn't say Lamine, I thought he would say Kvara or Dembele or something, or maybe even a midfielder. But for him to say Harry Kane, I respect it. I disagree, but you can't summarily dismiss someone saying Harry Kane because he's clearly up there after the season.
I actually wasn't talking about this season. I just think, like, just generally. Do you also think that's Harry Kane?
Well, okay. I think what I will go and say, I think when we talk about the best player in the world, I think it depends how you want to phrase it.
Sure.
So you can say in terms of like pure technical ability potential, I'd say that I'd probably go and say Lamine Yamal. You can go and say for the season, Michael Olise and people are there. So I think it really does depend how you want to, categorize it.
Sure. I think Lamine Yamal is the best player in the world, just objectively. I think if you want to say just this season, I think Harry Kane is a fair shot as well.
Yeah.
My thing
That's
with
fair.
Lamine Yamal and how you compare him to Desire Doue is, actually I have a bit of a hot take. I think Lamine Yamal will be the best young player at the World Cup. But I also think because of how good he is, it'll also be a big reason for why Spain may underperform. Because you take a look at the gap between Lamine Yamal and the rest of Spain's attackers. Clearly, Lamine is the best, and it almost feels as if because of how good he is, he can get singled out quite easily compared to, let's say, Bruno, who's a midfielder. I'm saying that just relative to position. But when you take a look at Desire Doue, I think because France are so stacked in attack, they have multiple sources of how they can rely on certain players. And we're entering an era of football in which you have to say that, especially because you are a PSG fan, you can see how balanced your whole attack is with Kvara, Dembele, Doue, and you can bring on Barcola. He also has that same level. But when you take a look at Lamine Yamal, especially for Barcelona, you see the way that Barcelona, especially this season, have relied on Lamine Yamal for creating so many chances. I mean, how many other players do you think would actually create to the same level of Yamal? And he's just an attacker by himself. So I think because of that, you see the way that he can create. I think because of that, he will be a big reason for why Spain will go far. But I think that's also the main reason why he will be better than Doue, because of the fact that there are so many other attackers around him that I don't think Doue will do it to the same level that Yamal will.
Okay, I think.
Hey man, I had to let him cook because he made an interesting point, and I don't have Spain winning the tournament either. I didn't really consider it from that perspective. I had Spain not winning the tournament for different reasons, but that's a fair point. That's really a fair point. And that's why personally I have France. Like I think most brackets have France and Spain in the semifinal on that side, which is annoying because I would love for that to be the final. But I have France winning that semifinal. I think most people have Spain winning that semifinal because they do have the best player in the world and they have an amazingly coached team and stacked team as well. But for me, that makes a lot of sense why, because you kind of see it with Barcelona. I mean, to be fair, Spain is more stacked than Barcelona. Honestly, you can make the argument, but Spain, if it comes down to it, if they're in a dire situation, I can very much see them relying on Yamal the way Barcelona relies on Yamal. Where it's like every time they get the ball, they're going to the right. They're going to get it to him. It's on him to try to create something. And we've seen Barcelona lose to two teams I would say were inferior to them in their matchups. If you want to say Inter last year and Atleti this year, I would say Barcelona should be better than those teams and are better than those teams across a season or whatever. I mean, of course, this year is kind of annoying because they got red cards in both games, I believe. But still, they were in those games, and what it came down to is it's get it to Yamal. He has to make something happen, and at a certain point, that becomes too obvious. The fun part is that he's so good that even when that's the case, he can still make something happen most of the time, and teammates might just let him down. But now you're begging for magic constantly, and at a certain point, the well runs dry. And that doesn't mean that he's a lesser player because of that. It's just at a certain point, you can't put all the onus on one player to drag you every 90 minutes, make something happen constantly. And that's how players' bodies break down and why Yamal probably had an injury coming into this tournament. So I can understand his point of view where it's like Yamal might still win it because he's going to have so much, we call it usage rate. That's a big term in American sports, like a usage rate. He has such a high usage rate for Barcelona and probably will for Spain in a clutch situation, and he's probably going to win Young Player of the Tournament because of that. But when it comes down to it, that could also be Spain's downfall if they lean on him too much. Whereas France, for me anyway, because I have France winning it. But say you want to say somewhere another team, they might be able to spread that out better. But we'll see, because when it came down to it, Messi still did what Messi did in 2022. But then again, we can't compare people to Messi. We can't compare people
I'll
to
go
Messi.
back to the argument. I don't think that you being a better player is not synonymous with you having a better World Cup campaign. So I'll go, this is why I go back and I bring it back to last year's Champions League campaign. I think that over the course of the 2024-25 season, I think that Yamal was better than Doue. However, in the Champions League specifically, I think that Doue had a better Champions League campaign, hence why he won the Champions League Young Player of the Season, even though Yamal was there. When you look at, obviously, the teams he was doing it, Doue has been shown, even this season, to be a big game player, right? Even though, big game, between PSG and Bayern in the first leg.
Will Doue play against Arsenal?
Yeah.
With obviously
he
pre.
should. I think he starts.
He's going to start on the right. But when you look at Doue this season, even the big games, he got an assist against Chelsea, scored against Liverpool, got 2 assists against Bayern. He's been consistent. Last year, obviously, being the first player in the history of football to go and get 2 goals and an assist in a Champions League campaign, in a final, and also he did that only in 67 minutes. So when you look at it, in the big games, he does perform. And again, this is not to go and say that, Doue is a better player than Yamal. I'm just saying that I think that he will be overall, will have a better World Cup campaign. And again, I go back to the point with regards to Yamal, I think one thing that he's still young and he has time to iron this out of his game. I think the fact that at times I think he can play a bit of hero ball. Like, you going back, I'll go and you look at that Atletico Madrid game, specifically in the second leg when Barcelona needed that goal. Lamine Yamal, does he have the capacity, the ability to go and take on 3, 4, 5 players at once and score a goal? Absolutely. We saw that his goal against Inter last year. But I think that at times he'll try to do that too often. Whereas when, for example, when Rooney Bargi came on for Barcelona, what he did, is he on the same technical level as Lamine Yamal? No. But when he came on, he was ruthless. He was effective. He beat his man, put the ball in, and that's led to, the Araujo chance and the Rashford chance afterwards. So I think that those things, I think at times, Lamine Yamal being sort of the biggest attacking threat and option for Spain, if you are able to go and take him out of the game, there's been several times for Barcelona where you just take Lamine Yamal out of the game and all of a sudden there's not much. Whereas Doue, I would argue the fact that the French national team overall is so stacked that, okay, even if you take Doue out of the game, okay, you've got Dembele, you've got Olise, you've got Mbappe, and if anything,
leaves more space.
Exactly, leaves more space. So that's why I think that he will be able to thrive on that and go and have an overall better World Cup campaign.
It's interesting because they're kind of making the same argument. Yeah, he started off making a different argument actually, and kind of making the point about the Champions League. But where he ended up is kind of the same argument that he just made for why France is going to go further, which is fair, and I also agree. But to me, that doesn't necessarily mean, like he's saying, if Doue is taken out of the game, France have other things. If Yamal's taken out of the game, Spain's not going to look like much. Fair, but I think that might lean toward Yamal having the better tournament in any, like, in terms of the eyes of people watching the game in real time. They will think, oh, Yamal carry, Yamal carry, Yamal carry. Even if they don't end up winning the game, I think people watching would be like, oh, Yamal taking on 5 players. I think just in their minds, especially because I think people are already going to have a bias toward Yamal, I think that's going to end up leaning that way. But I could also see the other side where you're saying because people have to worry about Mbappe or worry about Dembele, that gives Doue more opportunities to make stuff happen and get his moment too. So I can see both sides of it.
I think it's easy to say that because of the fact that Yamal is so good, it's easier to single him out. And as you said, because of the way that he's able to create so many chances, you say hero ball, but I actually think that actually does him even more of a service because of the way that he's able to create so many chances and the way that, let's say, Spain are 2-0 down World Cup final. Who are you more likely to rely on? Let's say, just throughout the whole team. Lamine Yamal, probably.
Yeah, true.
But let's say France are in that same situation.
Yeah.
Who are you more likely to rely on in that sense? Olise maybe. Cherky is able to create chances much better.
Mbappe.
Yeah.
I don't know about creating chances, but goal scoring for sure.
Yeah, but the point I'm making with that is that if you, for example, you find yourself in that position, I'll go again, look at Barca this season when they were, on the brinks of getting eliminated. Everything went through Lamine Yamal. And the thing is, if you're the opposing team, if you take Lamine Yamal outside of that game, there's nothing that can happen. Whereas for France, yes, again, I'm not saying that
Doesn't
Doue
that make Lamine Yamal better if he's able to?
No, but again, I go back, and you being a better player does not mean that you will have a better World Cup campaign. They're not mutually inclusive, right?
TJ, mate, well debated.
That's fair. That's fair. I think I could see where they're both coming from, but I think that it's tough to say that makes him have a better world campaign just because his team has better players that are going to get more attention. I still think, and whether rightly or wrongly, I still think in the eyes of people watching in real time, if we see Yamal, even if it's him getting double, triple teamed, and we beats that triple team once, twice, 3 times a game, even if it doesn't really amount to anything crazy, the feeling in real time might still lend to him winning young player of the tournament, despite that. But either way, that was a cool argument. It's interesting to see. To me, it sounds like two Americans. Maybe one of them's Canadian or something. I mean, he's wearing a U.S. jersey, so I'm assuming he's American. And this French guy, maybe he's like Canadian or something. I don't know, but it's cool to see both of them have an argument because there was good knowledge on display from the both of them there. So it gives me hope at least.
Hazard's got the touch there. He's got the touch. Really interesting debate this, I think, because you are right. You're not saying that he's
better.
a worse player.
Yeah.
You're saying interesting. Paz, where are you at with this?
Right, please hear me out before people start chuckling. No. It's a serious one. I think these conversations are always going to be very heavily weighted towards attackers. But if England have the tournament that I'm hoping we're going to have, I think there will be a
Dude wearing the Tunisia shirt, and he's clearly an England fan. I mean, I'm 48 World Cup fans. I guess he's just not claiming it from every country, but pretty sure most of these people are just LARPing.
Heavily weighted towards attackers. But if England have the tournament that I'm hoping we're going to have, I think there will be a very good case for Nico O'Reilly having been one of, if not, whoa. Allow me to explain. So, the way that I'm hoping England's going to be playing this tournament, how many
Nico
times
O'Reilly.
have you seen Harry Kane drop in, pick up the ball, ping a 60-yard pass out to Saka, and you need someone there to put the final ball? Rashford is hopefully going to be operating more of an inside forward. O'Reilly's going to have so much work to do. And in the group stage, we've got a relatively favourable group. I think there's an opportunity for some goal contributions from their early doors. And as well, these conversations, it's all about who's the bit like Yamal, Olise, all these right wingers. If we have a good tournament, he's likely going to come up against some of these top wingers. And if he performs, there's no reason why he shouldn't be within the conversation just on account of being a defender.
Okay, so
That's a fair argument. It's tough because I don't know. Thomas Tuchel, I don't know if O'Reilly. I think O'Reilly's going to start the first game as left back. I do think that, and I think he's a good enough player to secure that spot. But Thomas Tuchel picked that England squad, I don't know if O'Reilly's going to start every game, either at left back or midfield. Probably not going to get into that midfield. That midfield is pretty stacked. But at left back, he picked some interesting players behind him that I think he could rotate a lot depending on the matchup. Even if I wasn't the biggest fan of his squad selection, I do understand where he was coming from in terms of some of the different game states. So it's tough because with these awards, especially, like personally, I wanted to say Turkey's going to get like probably silver ball. I wanted to say Turkey's going to get golden ball personally, but even silver, bronze ball, whatever. But I can't trust Didier Deschamps to play Turkey enough to even be in contention for the award. But a lot of these things are very dependent on how these coaches end up operating with these players. And Nico O'Reilly, I think, is a great shout if he's starting every minute of every game. But like, I don't know how realistic that is versus Yamal's gonna play every minute. Doue, like I said earlier, he might not even play every minute. So even then, that kind of hurts that argument. But I think on performance, Nico O'Reilly could be up there.
He's going to have so much to do.
okay, so do you agree that he's probably going to play as left back?
I think he's pretty much going to be starting left back the full way
All
through.
right, but I'll just go and say I've not much too much of England, but his last couple appearances for England at left back specifically haven't been the greatest. And I'm thinking just like, for example, let's say he comes up against Lamine Yamal in Spain. I think defensively, he's not a left back by trade. I think he could really struggle, 1-on-1 defensively. And I agree. I don't think it's a crazy take to go and say that Nico O'Reilly may potentially be, the best young player at the tournament. But I just think that, for one, even though I think that Desire Doue will be the better player, I think that Spain are more likely to go further than England. Same thing with France. So for those reasons, I would go and say that, Doue and Yamal have better chances of being the best players, young players at the World Cup.
Full time. Well done, guys. Well done.
Fair enough. I also agree in terms of how far they're going to get and things like that. But either way, That was a pretty interesting argument. Even though I disagree, and I think Yamal is the front runner to win it, I can honestly hear his shout for Doue, especially if you believe France will win the tournament, which I do. I can honestly see where Doue can end up winning that. Same with if Portugal win it. I honestly think João Neves will end up being within a shout for that. And if you have England winning it, Nico O'Reilly will probably be, assuming he starts every game, will probably be within a shot of that as well. So I'm not mad at any of those arguments, but that's going to be it. Gonna try to get this video out very soon because World Cup tomorrow and the content will be flowing. So like, subscribe, all the good algorithm stuff. Stick around. World Cup on the way. Let's get it.
Yeah, baby.
Peace.